Hi everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. So today will be a little bit of a shorter stream because, as you can see behind me, uh, the altar is a little bit more decorated because tomorrow morning will be our spring grand ceremony or the Tenchikan no Kami-sama grand ceremony. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do and a lot of things to do. So right now, like we finished up preparing, so yeah, tomorrow is an early morning to get ready again. And so today's stream will be a little bit shorter, but I figured it'd be good to keep consistent. So today's topics I wanted to talk about. The first one I wanted to talk about was like relying on Kami-sama. Hi, Nezu-san, welcome. So I want to talk about what it means to rely on Kami-sama. And the other topic I wanted to talk a little bit about, if we have time, is about meguri, the concept of meguri. So these are two things I wanted to talk about, especially they were pretty relevant this past week. And also, I'll explain a little bit about the grand ceremonies. So, like in Konko Faith, but also like all across like Shinto practices, we have two grand ceremonies of the year. Like of course New Year's is really important, and the Great Purification ceremonies in June and December. But in spring and autumn, we have like the grand ceremonies, or in other jinja it's called Rei Taisai or Taisai. Oh, hi Alex. Good luck at work, and hi Redeem-san, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. But yeah, so like other junior will call it like Rei Taisai, like Shuki Rei Taisai, Shunki Rei Taisai, and Shuki Rei Taisai is like spring grand ceremony, and Shunki Rei Shun. Oh wait, sorry, is that right? Sorry, Shunki is spring, Shunki Rei Taisai is spring grand ceremony, and Shuki Rei Taisai is autumn. So we have those two ceremonies that are really important in the year. But in Konko Faith, we also call it the Tenchikan no Kami-sama Grand Ceremony in spring and the Higame Konko Daijin Grand Ceremony in autumn. And the reason for that is because in the springtime, like in April, is when the Tenchikakitsuke was revealed to Konko Daijin-sama. So it's like the springtime, April, May. So it's like if it's with that history. And then for autumn, if I remember correctly, it's because that's when the Rikkyo Shinden, which is like the divine call for Toritsugi mediation, was given to Ikigami Kongo Daijin-sama. I don't remember the day. I want to say it was November 15, but I'm not. I have to check it again. um, but yeah, so these, so like it kind of matched, like the spring grand ceremony and the autumn grand ceremony kind of matched these two significant events in the Konko faith. So we also, in addition to calling it the spring grand ceremony and autumn grand ceremony, we also say like Tenchikan no Kami Sama grand ceremony and Ikigami Kongo Daijin grand ceremony. And like, what was the purpose of these two ceremonies for the year? So the spring one was basically to give thanks for like overcoming the long winter season, and then pray for like having a good planting season and good growing season for the next few months in spring and summer. And then some other shrines actually have like a specific like planting ceremony. But like in general, like spring grand ceremonies to give thanks for the blessings of overcoming winter time, and giving thanks for the arrival of spring and for the growth of new plants and new life. And then later on in autumn, it's basically like a big like harvest festival, like giving thanks for the good harvest, that will, and then praying for the next winter months to survive through them and be safe through them, and nothing, like there won't be a shortage of food, and giving thanks for the harvest that will um, make us survive through the wintertime. So that's kind of like the original meanings of both, but of course now it's kind of like more traditional and like more just like keeping up the tradition, because like we don't really have to worry about like surviving through the winter. Thankfully, most people don't have to worry about that in the modern times, because of course like we can have like different food year round. Like we don't have to rely necessarily on like specific harvest seasons as much as the past. But it's still important, I feel, because we still rely on the harvest season. We still rely on good weather, and we still are at risk of, you know, getting sick or dying in the wintertime or any time of year. But winter can be pretty harsh. So I think it's still good to like celebrate and give thanks. So yeah, so that's just a little brief like explanation. And yeah, so tomorrow, or like here at our shrine, we always have the ceremony on May 3rd and November 3rd, like consistently. But other shrines and other kyokai, like Konko Kyokai, like they do it on different days, between like April to May, and then the other season it's between like October to November. So kind of like the autumn and spring season is like that. I think the latest like I've actually seen some kyokai and they've had their spring grand ceremony like at the beginning of June even, so like it can extend a little bit or be before a little bit, but generally like this time of year. But then by the time we get to the end of June, that's like the mid-year grand purification ceremony. So it's like, you know, you have to like space out the ceremonies because then there'd be too many. But yeah, it's good. And yeah, if I seem like a little bit tired, like just a lot to prepare for and to get ready for tomorrow. And I wish you guys could come, but I will be streaming our shrine ceremony and like the one I'll do after for like our community. So I think it'll be good. But yes. So the next topic I wanted to talk about was like what it means to like rely on kamisama. So this actually like was like kind of inspired by my friend. This is more like a sister to me. And she's trying to practice relying on kamisama more. Because like, you know, it's kind of natural to want to rely on like, you know, your friends and your family and like, you know, other people to kind of like to talk to like have support and things like that. But around like now in this time in her life, like after she went back to Japan and like met her sensei again and like everything, um she feels like now's the time in her life to become closer, like becoming closer more seriously to like Tenchika no Kami-sama and like growing a stronger connection. And part of growing that connection means like you know, not only communication through prayer, but like trusting in Tenchika no Kami-sama and relying on Tenchika no Kami-sama, like knowing that you can rely on them for like anything that's going on, like anything that's happening. So I hope it's okay I say this story, but there was a recent story that really inspired me and like moved me a lot that happened a few days ago. So right now she's kind of like resetting up her altar and like cleaning everything up. And there's like a lot of situations that are happening. But basically like she felt from Kami-sama to get this like new tray, like a kind of like offering tray. And she saw like a nice one online, like at her local store. Like she checked the catalog online and she saw a nice like wooden tray. It was kind of like a long wooden tray. And she's like, oh, this looks so good. I'm gonna use it for my altar and like we should get it for the altar and it'll be really good. It's not too expensive, like it'll be nice. So she heads over to the store by herself to pick up the tray. She didn't order it, but like she just went to go pick it up. And when she was at the store, I can't remember exactly what happened, but basically like she was looking at all the trays and then she found this one tray that looks like almost perfectly like a sambo tray, like like you know, the traditional trays for the shrines, like how they're kind of like, it's not a square, but it's like a square and then it kind of curves in and then it's like a hexagon, almost not a hexagon. Kind of, well, you know what I mean. I'm sure you've seen pictures of like sambo and stuff. But anyway, so she found a tray that looked almost exactly like a sambo, just it had like little handles, but it was like perfect. And she was like, oh my god, this is so good, but the thing is that it was a little bit expensive, like a little bit over budget than what she expected. And the other thing was like she wasn't sure like if it would fit on the table or like if it was okay like to buy it with like she wanted to ask her partner like what do you think about this tray? Should we get it? Like what should we do? But it was funny because she couldn't get in contact with her partner and she couldn't get in contact with like me and she couldn't get in contact with like anyone else really. Like just she tried to message, but like nobody was really like but more on that later. Like it was interesting. So she tried to message everyone, but like the messages weren't getting through. And she's like, I can't wait in the store forever. So then she kind of felt like maybe this is a moment I should ask Kami-sama, like what does Kami-sama want and what does Kami-sama prefer? So she like took a moment to like pray. Like she didn't like bow and clap, but like pray in her heart to Kami-sama. And she's like, okay, Kami-sama, like, which is the best tray for your Kamidana? Like, which one do you want me to get? And she felt like the Sambo one would be perfect. Like, it was a little bit over budget, but Kami-sama was like, don't worry about it. Like, it like we'll take care of it. Like she felt like the money wouldn't be a problem, and to get that tray, like that's what she felt from Kami-sama, like asking Kami-sama in prayer. And she was so like at first she was so nervous because she was like, is this real? Am I like, am I just like putting it in my head because I want this tray? Like she was kind of like having self-doubt. But like after staying there for a while and after keep praying, like she felt like, okay, I'm gonna get this one. I'm gonna get this one. So she goes to pay for the tray. Oh, and hi Terrence, welcome. Thank you so much. So she goes to pay for the tray and two things happen. One thing is that turns out she had like a coupon. So the tray was like, I think it was like 20% off or something. So that was already like the money, like the cost of it went really down. So that was really good. And the second thing was like, as soon as she bought the tray, that's when like all the messages went through. So like the messages to her partner and the messages to me and like asking like our opinions and stuff. And we were like, "Oh my gosh, like how was everything? Like did you get it? Like what did you think?" And she explained to us I asked Kami-sama and like Kami-sama, I felt like this was the right tray and like I got a discount suddenly and like everything was good. And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but I believe like through her work, like she got like an extra income that like completely covered the tray that she wasn't expecting to cover. So like everything worked out. And like when she showed us the pictures after, like I was shocked because I genuinely thought like she like somehow she found like a Sanbo tray because it looks so like almost exactly. And then I realized the handlebars. I'm like, oh okay. So like it wasn't, but it was so close to it. And then I was like, the good thing about this tray is that like you can also use it in the future, like for like a bigger altar or like even a kyokai because it looks so similar to Sambo and it's like really good quality. So like you could use this for the future and like future generations. Like it's a really good buy. So it was just a little thing, right? But that little thing means a lot because it was like, that moment where she could ask Kami-sama and like ask Kami-sama's opinion on what she should do instead of asking like one of us, like her partner or me. She directly prayed and asked Kami-sama. And see, like, this is like a very like simple, like, like what I mean by simple is like, it's just like, asking for like a tray, right? Like it's like, seeing if this tray will be good or not. It's not really like it's not a life or death situation. It's not like a really serious situation. But that's good because these little moments where we talk to Kami-sama and we ask Kami-sama's opinion and we rely and we trust Kami-sama's word, they help us grow our faith more and help us trust Kami-sama more and like communicate to Kami-sama more. So like when things do get more serious or more high pressure, we already had that foundation that we were building with Kami-sama through like the small things, through the daily things. And that foundation grows. And then when things get really scary or really, really intense and really stressful, we're already used to communicating with kami-sama. We're already used to like relying on them for things. So, that's how like growing our faith and like growing our trust and relationship with kami-sama is really important, through even the small things, because then it leads to, even in the big moments and the really intense moments, we will have that foundation to carry us through like any situation in life. And it starts with those like little things, those like little moments. So, then like after that situation with the tray, my friend had like another situation happen with his like, which is like, now she's like reorganizing her altar, and then she's feeling like maybe she should get a new shelf, because the shelf now is like not really, like the space is not really there. And it was the same situation where like, she was like wondering like, oh, sorry, there was actually two more stories. So there's the shelf situation where she like felt she had to get a new shelf, but like she wasn't sure if she had the budget, or like it would work out with the space, or like she could find the right furniture, anything like that. But again, like instead of asking like her trusted people, like her friends and her family, she instead like went directly to Kami-sama, and then asked Kami-sama like should I get a new shelf? Like where should I put it? Like how should it go? Like asking Kami-sama, communicating to Kami-sama, like all of, like she got a feeling like she should renew, but then like should she really? And so she asked Kami-sama. And like even through these little like moments, even through this, like she felt like okay, like she was searching for the furniture, and then she found like the perfect furniture, and like the perfect shelf, and then the perfect like offering table. And again, like it was a little bit expensive, but like again, like she got a bonus from her work, I guess I could say, like. And like it was to the like cent, like to the one coin, like exact amount for everything. So that's why she could feel like okay, like this is like Kami-sama helping me and showing me like to grow my altar, and like how to like guide through this process. And it's not about the altar really, or like the physical items, or like the shelf, but again, like the precious thing and the irreplaceable thing is that she's actually communicating and asking Kami-sama and talking to Kami-sama, and then trusting what she feels, and then seeing how things work out, through that communication, through that prayer. So, like when we say like pray to Kami-sama, like people just think it's like, like just like pray and then like thinking that that's it, like that's the only thing that's gonna happen. But I guess like you could say like in Konko Faith, like prayer is communication, and it's like action from the communication, and it's like growing how we can be closer to Kami-sama. It's not just like a matter of like a prayer, like a message in a bottle. It's like active communication. It's like active like doing things and like working things out, and like having like a life together with Kami-sama. That's like the really important part, and the really like that's what it means like when we say practicing faith, because it's something you're doing actively. It's not just faith as in like believing or just prayer. It's like something you're actively doing. And yeah, so there was that situation with the shelf and the furniture. And then there was like another situation she had recently with like a new mattress. Because her previous mattress was like leaking fiberglass. If you don't know, like fiberglass is this material that it can leak out from beds that is supposed to be like protecting from fires, but it's kind of a little bit hazardous, and like it's unfortunate because most mattresses in the United States use this material. So like my friend had no idea, but then it just suddenly started going everywhere. Anyway, it was crazy. We did Toritsugi about it, and like so much was going on. But like she was wondering, like, should I just buy a new mattress? Because like I don't know what to do, and like so much is going on, and like it's just too much. And so like we're doing Toritsugi about it, and I felt like a specific answer from Kami-sama, and but then I also felt like from Kami-sama, like allow her to ask me, like me as in Kami-sama, and see like how she can solve the situation while relying on Kami-sama, and like again, like this is a kind of face training in a way. Like what I mean by that is like not the situation necessarily is like directly from Kami-sama. Like it could just be circumstantial. But the thing is, like, no matter what the circumstances life throws at us, it's important to rely on Kami-sama for any circumstances that come, right? So, like, no matter what's going on in life, no matter what the circumstances are, it's an opportunity to communicate to Kami-sama and to grow our faith and practice faith with Kami-sama in those circumstances, even if they're very stressful, like fiberglass going everywhere. And it's very difficult to clean up. Like, you need a specific vacuum, and you need to like you need to like quarantine and like all this stuff. So it's not like a light situation. But so, my toritsugi to her was that, like, Kami-san wanted to tell her to ask them, directly and, like, rely on them directly. So that was, like, the answer of the toritsugi. So my friend did that. And then, like, she felt like the answer was to get, like, a new mattress, but she wasn't sure because, again, like, the financing, like, it's expensive, and it's an expense to fund, and like all this sort of logistics to getting it in the house and everything. But like again, like, and usually like she doesn't want to like ask her family for like to like ask them for financial help, because it's like it's she doesn't want to feel like she rely on them for finances, because she earns her own money. So it's like but like her dad was offering, like, I will, like, help you with this. And so like he helped my friend, but like it was crazy because he didn't actually like lose any money because of the way like his, like, I don't want to go too deep into it on the live stream, but basically like things worked out because of the way like certain like bills were like paid off for. And then like basically, long story short, like he had extra money he didn't realize he had. So he thought he would be losing, but actually he didn't lose anything because he had extra money. So like it all worked out for everybody, because like then the mattress was paid for. Like eventually my friend could pay her dad back, but then her dad got like extra money anyway. So it was like everything was working out for everybody. Like it was like a win-win situation. Um for everybody, that like this, even though the circumstances were really like difficult and like stressful, um like because my friend was like relying on Kami-sama and praying to Kami-sama and asking for advice and receiving like feeling the answer to be like, just get a new mattress, like don't worry about the money, just take care of your health first. Like you can't buy health, like health is number one. So just like just get a new thing, clean it up, and like don't worry about the money. And yeah, so she did that, and then everything worked out in terms of the finances. So like so she was really moved by this, because like she didn't think that how is things gonna work out, like Kami-sama's, I feel like Kami-sama's telling me this, but like how is that actually going to happen? Am I just being like wishful thinking, or like am I just putting Kami-sama's words because that's what I want to hear? But actually, for like all of these three situations, it was like Kami-sama actually guiding my friend and like helping them through these circumstances of life. And there's one more thing to all of this, is that if you notice, there's like a pattern or like a theme, and this is pretty common, I find, with like Tenchika no Kami-sama. But there is like a theme in all of these events too. And again, like it's not like Kami-sama's like purposely like doing this, like a test from God. It's not like that. But it's like sometimes we go through things in life, like circumstances in life, that all kind of like end up connecting to each other, if that makes sense. And I call that the theme, like they end up, like all the threads end up connecting, I call that the theme. And for her, the theme that we're kind of noticing, like the threads, is that there's a sense of like renewal, like a purge, like getting rid of all the old stuff, getting rid of all the like stuff that wasn't serving the space, and bringing in all the new things, all new furniture, new mattress, new altar items, like a refreshing, like spring cleaning, but like in a really extreme way. And unfortunately and fortunately, with the fiberglass, like the fiberglass going on everything means that like now her and her partner are figuring out like, what do we want to keep, what do we want to throw out, what can we keep, what should we throw out, so it's like going through everything now. So it's like a big purge, like a big renewal, like all of this stuff is happening, and it's very stressful, and it's like it was scary because it's like, how are we going to afford this, how are things going to work out? But like my friend feels like, because she's allowing and like asking, like inviting kami-sama to help with this situation, that through kami-sama's like divine virtue, that all of this like chaotic situation is getting like, organized in like divinely arranged for things to work out and for the better. Like, so even if like there's this big chaotic situation happening, because my friend invited kami-sama, like prayed to kami-sama, asking them to help with this whole situation, kami-sama's divine virtue means that like all of this like chaotic situation is getting arranged to like more like blessings to happen, like having the funds for things, and like having a way to get everything she needs and like organize everything. So it's really amazing to see it all happen. But also none of this could have really started to happen. Like kami-sama couldn't really express their divine workings if my friend did not also listen to kami-sama's guidance, right? So like, if kami-sama says like buy the new mattress, but my friend says like no, or like doesn't listen to kami-sama, or like thinks that they're crazy or something, and they don't end up buying the new mattress, then more fiberglass will come, and like who knows what will happen. Or like maybe they get sick because they waited too long to replace the mattress. Like we don't know what will happen, right? Or like, for example, like if they got a different tray, like even that little situation, like what if the tray that my friend got, it ended up like getting like I don't know, maybe it broke, or maybe it was cheap quality, or maybe it wasn't like the best, and she ended up having to replace it, and then that's more money. So all these little things, we don't know how things will turn out. So by following kami-sama's like guidance, it works out the best way possible. So it's through our actions and our communication to kami-sama that we can like manifest the blessings together with kami-sama through like chaotic situations and through chaotic circumstances. So like it's things like that. And my friend is like an example that's happening right now, and I'm thinking about it. But even in my own life, like I was like smiling through the whole thing, because what my friend was describing is very similar, if not almost the same, to like situations I had gone through over the years, praying to kami-sama and relying on kami-sama. So it was like really funny to see like the same kind of pattern. But it's true, like there might be like some circumstance or situations, and you don't really know what to do in those situations. But that's why like the first person per se, like the first existence you should ask or rely on, in my opinion, is ask kami-sama, because like for me, like I learned over time that like if I ask, family or friends, or rely on family or friends, like everyone has different opinions, everyone has different viewpoints, and they're not as like kami-sama has a broader view of things, and like more connections to things. But as people, we're like limited, right? And even if our friends and family want to help us the most that they can, um unfortunately, like, we're limited, right? Like, even me, like, I can't see behind closed doors. I can't see the best possible result from a choice. But Kami-sama has that viewpoint. They can see like what choices will lead to what results. So that's why, like, asking Kami-sama first often leads to things going smoother and things going more like a lot more blessings come from asking Kami-sama first, asking Kami-sama's guidance. And like, if you're wondering, like, oh, my friend heard Kami-sama say, when I'm saying that, I'm not saying like she literally heard like a voice like in her in her head, or like a physical voice with her ear. But when you just kind of like, I mean, I've heard some people kind of feel like they're like like Kami-sama kind of give them a message through their like thinking voice. Like, I've heard some ministers explain it like that. But like generally speaking, it's like, when sometimes you have that feeling about something, like, what, I feel like I should take like this one, like, I feel like I should take this bus, or like, today I feel like maybe I shouldn't go out today, like those like feelings. And it's not really like anxiety, and it's not really like, like stress or anything like that. It's like, it's just you kind of like feel the vibes. I don't know how to explain it. Like, you just get this sense of something. And that's kind of also like a way like Kami-sama can like make us feel like, okay, this is kind of the best way to proceed. And again, if you're not sure, or like you're worried still, like, you can always do toritsugi with like a sensei as well, to like ask like, okay, is this like real? Like, is Kami-sama really guiding me this way, or like am I just like delusional? But that's why senseis are there also to help, like with toritsugi, because then when you do toritsugi and it's like the same feeling or the same answer, then it's like, okay, now it's like real. It's like extra real. And that was me, especially for like really big things. Like, for example, like when I was thinking about moving to Japan, right? I was not sure. Like, I felt from Kami-sama like I should move here, but then I was like, I don't know. And then I had all these like anxieties, like, what about like my family in Canada? What about my friends? And like, where am I gonna get the money again? Like, where am I gonna get the money to move? And like all of these things, right? But I asked Kami-sama, and then I felt something, but then I wasn't sure. So I asked my sensei for toritsugi, like, about my fears and concerns, and then it like matched to the feeling I had. So then I was like double sure that I was on the right track. So it's always you can always do that too, and that's really important to like help develop our faith and like help develop your connection to Kami-sama. Like, I've heard, like, I really like this example where like toritsugi mediation is kind of like it's kind of like equated to like when you go to the gym, and you can work out by yourself, but sometimes you need some support, and you can like ask a personal trainer, like a more experienced person, like who's familiar with exercises or the gym equipment. And so like the toritsugi mediator is kind of like your personal trainer, like helping you develop the skills to like properly exercise and like properly get the most out of being in the gym. So I guess it's kind of like that. Like, we can pray to Kami-sama, we can communicate to Kami-sama, rely on them. But if we need that extra support and like extra helping, like guidance through practicing our faith, through developing faith, like the senseis are always there. So that's also really good to do. But yeah, and this sort of thing, like, again, like, when it comes to like household stuff, or like material stuff, like it's like a little bit easier on the mind to like communicate to Kami-sama and ask Kami-sama. But when it's stuff like like a big move, or like medical stuff especially, or even like life or death things, that's when you're gonna need that foundation. So again, like now, like, or like when things are peaceful, or like, or even when things are going crazy, like, just, I recommend to like try to pray to Kami-sama and communicate to Kami-sama, and like invite them into your life and try to feel them close. and communicate to them and like ask them for guidance, and it'll be really good for the future. I feel like through your life to develop and practice this faith. And it doesn't necessarily mean like you need to like that's the thing too. Like when I say stuff like this, people are like, "Oh, does that mean like I have to be like Konkokyo or specifically or something?" And like honestly, like like what I want to say to that is like, first of all, like I feel like in modern times we get so wrapped up in like labels and stuff that like I think labels and definitions are important. I'm not saying that they're not. And I think it's important that Konkokyo has an identity and a name and like traditions and everything. But when it comes to like personal matters of like faith, I think that like even if you're unsure about like committing to identifying as Konko Faith, like I think that's okay. Like that's like something else that you can like explore and work on your own time. But like whether it's like identifying with the Konko faith or like learning more about Konko Kyo as like a faith itself, and then practicing faith in Tenjika no Kami-sama as a Kami-sama, like they're connected, but they don't have to be like necessarily. Like what I mean by that is like you don't have to like be like initiated or like baptized in order to have permission to pray to Kami-sama. Like does that make sense? Like you don't need a specific like badge or like title in order to pray to Tenjika no Kami-sama. Like if possible, Tenjika no Kami-sama hopes like all people can rely on them and pray to them and be helped by them. And that's why it's like it's okay if you're like identifying with Konko faith and like going to the kyokai, but also like practicing any other like religion that you're feeling comfortable with, as long as you like again, like we always talk about, like keep things separate and like respect each tradition. But there doesn't have to be this like exclusivity or like this label, or like you need to be like have permission to like pray to Tenjika no Kami-sama, that wouldn't be right either. So I just hope people can develop a connection with Tenjika no Kami-sama, whether or not regardless of their connection to Konko Kyo itself. But I do hope, of course, like there can be some connection. So to receive toritsugi, or like even just come to pray to Kami-sama at the altar. Like I think that's good. But like it doesn't have to be like a whole big thing, right? I feel like in like a lot of like, I don't know, at least in Canada and stuff, like the identity of someone's religion, or like the religious label they carry, is almost sometimes more important than the actual practice that they're doing or the actual like the way that they're living with religious beliefs or like religious practice. I mean, some people say like because just because they're like baptized, or like because they go to church, like they're like Catholic or something. But like for me, I guess that makes sense for Catholicism, but I guess like in like here in Japan, like with Shinto and like Konko Faith and like even Japanese Buddhism, like even like the important thing is like how you're actually living in your daily life. It's not like what you say or like how you label yourself, but it's like actually what you're doing and like how you're living with things. So I think that's the difference. And anyway, the most important thing is like to just like actually live a life together with Kami-sama. And I feel like praying and having a connection with Tenjika no Kami-sama is really it's like mutually beneficial. It's ayokakeo, like Kami-sama will be happy, and like I feel like people can find happiness through this as well, like with my friend. And I just want everyone to be okay, and I want everyone to like have good things happen to them. And like I don't want people to like endure difficult times and suffering. So and in my experience, like Tenshika no Kami-sama like really helps us through circumstances of life and helps us through things that can be suffering or difficult. So that's why I'm like, I recommend, or like I want, or like I hope that people can try to pray to Kami-sama as well, and like rely on Kami-sama through their daily lives. But like again, it's everyone's choice, right? Like everyone's free will. Like I'm not here to like force like people. Yeah, that would be worse. So yeah, it's all about the free will. It's all about the choice, and that's the thing too with kamisama, right? Like kamisama can't force them. Like they can't force help on someone. Like no matter how much they want to, if someone doesn't want the help or they don't want the connection, like it's shogunai, right? Like that's just it is what it is, and there can't be a connection. There can't be a genuine connection if the person themselves doesn't want it or doesn't like ask for it or like anything like that. So it's all about the free will, right? So, but if you have the free will and you ask kamisama and you want to connect to kamisama, then Tejikano no kamisama will gladly help you through things, through life. Like I know that without a doubt. Like, so it's really good. So I wanted to kind of talk about that, like how kamisama helps us and like relying on kamisama, even if it's just like small things, daily things. It doesn't always have to be a big prayer. The little prayers matter too, and the little ones help us grow our foundation with kamisama too. So yeah, I wanted to talk about that. And then yeah, the next topic I want to talk about really quickly, just a little bit more to for the live stream, is the topic of meguri. So I think some people have heard this term before. So meguri in Konko, it's like a Konko Faith term, but like the concept of it exists like around like in Japanese religious sphere generally speaking, like Shinto shrines or Buddhist temples or like shugenja and stuff. So, but what is meguri? So meguri, like as far as I remember, like the kanji, it means like to go around, like a cycle, like meguru meguri, and it's basically the simplest way I can explain it is kind of like accumulated kegare, like kegare, like negative energy and like negative actions that kind of like accumulate over time, and in particular accumulate from the family line, like the ancestors, and then the living relatives, and like the kegare and like the negative actions like accumulate over time and they fall on us, the descendant. And it doesn't even have to be like blood relatives, but like any relative, like even through like adoption or through like like brother-in-law or something, or like not blood related but like related in the clan family thing. Meguri is this idea that like it's accumulated kegare or like negative energy or negative actions that like accumulate through the clan, through the family line, and then fall into the descendant. So um and it sounds like unfair. Like when I explain it, people are like, "That's not fair." I'm like, "I know," but like, hear me out. So, like, how I like to describe it is like, it's kind of like if you inherit a house from your family members, and that the people who lived in that house were like hoarders. So like they didn't throw out anything, and there's like mess everywhere and like garbage everywhere, and there's like a huge thing you have to clean up. And yeah, like it's not fair to have to like go like to clean up all this mess and like deal with all the stress. But it's again like it's circumstance, right? Like you inherited the house because of the connection you had to the person, and now you have to like figure out what to do in this situation. So it's kind of like that. Like meguri is kind of like that. Like you inherit this like situation of like a difficult negative energy situation, but it doesn't mean like it's punishment, and it doesn't mean like it's a curse. It's just like, again, like using the hoarder example, like the relative was like not throwing out garbage, like they were just accumulating like a lot of junk, and they were just accumulating a lot of dirt, and they weren't cleaning it. They weren't practicing faith. They weren't like, they weren't taking care of the house, in other words. So now, unfortunately, like when they're not living in the house anymore, it's like someone had to be responsible for the house, right? Like for this situation. So like a lot of times, like in the turn, speaking of like meguri in this situation, like the spiritual situation of Meguri, or like the cause and effect. I don't know if it's not really spiritual because it affects us physically, but like the cause and effect of it is kind of like, maybe like like circumstances in our life are affected by this like Meguri, and it's not necessarily pleasant because of the way, because it's kegare, like an accumulation of negative energy and negative actions. So like from the rule of cause and effect, it leads to more negative energy and more negative situations because it hasn't been cleared. So using the example again, like because the garbage and dirt hasn't been cleared, now there's like cockroaches coming. Now there's like rats coming. Now there's like like bad bacteria and bad health risks, right? And it's not anybody's fault. It's not like the rats and the cockroaches are coming like to like punish you for inheriting the house. It's just like a cause and effect, right? It happens because of what it is accumulating and what is all coming together. So like that's the problem with Meguri, is like people think it could be like a punishment or like bad karma. Like if it's in Buddhism, like I know karma doesn't mean like that, but like I hear people in Japan like saying like, "Oh my god, I have a bad life now because of bad karma in the past." And like, like that's not how it is in Buddhism or like in like reality, I feel like. But or I mean, I think I don't really know, but I feel like karma was more complicated than that last time I read about it. But it's not like, again, like it's not a punishment, right? It's just a cause and effect of what's happening. So like how do we fix it, right? So the same using the same metaphor, to fix the situation you're in from getting worse, you have to start cleaning it up, right? So you have to start cleaning up the garbage. You have to start scrubbing down the walls. You have to, get a suit on and just start going into everything and like organizing it and getting out the garbage, fumigating, whatever you need to do. You have to clean it up, right? So it's the same thing with Meguri. You have to just clean it up. And but like how do we do that? Because it's not a physical thing. It's kind of like something that's like lingering around us and like affecting us in like the unseen ways. So like in Konko Faith, so like other like Japanese religious spaces elsewhere, like they don't use the word Meguri, but like they have the same similar concepts, and like they have different solutions for them. So in like a Buddhist context, it's like, just to do good deeds and do good things, to have good things accumulate over the bad things accumulating. In the like general like Shinto Jinja context, it's just like oharai, like purification, like keep purifying yourself, keep living good, upright, and don't generate more kegare, and eventually the accumulated one will like dissipate. Like that's kind of the idea. And I'm not really sure, like in Shugendo and like other practices, it can be more like shamanic, like asking the priest or like shamanic leader to kind of like communicate to the unseen world to like clear your megari and like kegare and stuff. So it can be like different ways. But in Konko Faith, we call it megari, or Konko Daijin sama called it megari. And the way to clear it is basically kind of like, it's not denying the other ways. It's kind of like all of those things help, but ultimately, like all you have to do really is like ask Tenchikan no Kami-sama to help you clear it. And through like, again, like kind of going back to relying on Kami-sama. If you rely on Kami-sama to clear the meguri, then Tenchikan no Kami-sama will lead you to situations or like circumstances which will actually clear the accumulated kegare, and like from a deep place. So it's not just like surface level cleaning, but like deep cleaning, So like in one of the teachings, it compares it to like cleaning out a well, like a water well. You have to like really deep clean it. you can't just like clean it like 80% because then it's gonna like the bacteria and the gunk is still there. You have to like take the time to like clean it all out and like make sure it's 100% clean, because if it's not 100% clean, it will just keep accumulating over and over. So like you have to like really deep clean it. So I guess if I were to like make a comparison, it's like, you know, just doing the actions by ourselves, it's kind of like you know, just dusting off the place or like taking out the garbage, you know, keeping things generally clean. But like clearing out the meguri with Tenchikan no Kami-sama, it's like deep cleaning, like taking out the furniture, like scrubbing behind the walls, like, you know, making sure every part is like cleaned up and like freshed up and like there's no like mold anywhere and there's no like lingering stuff. You know, it's like completely refreshing. It's completely renewing. And it's interesting because like how does this happen? So like how does the meguri happen? I mean, sorry, how does the meguri get cleared? Through circumstances with Tenchikan no Kami-sama. So the best way that this can happen is often through like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like through like like how to explain like through different circumstances in your life that are like connected to the original source of the meguri, and then like you kind of like find a way to like make up for it, but also it also involves like genuinely like apologizing as well, like apologizing to any beings or like any existences that your ancestors or relatives may have hurt or caused irreverence to, and including like kami-sama themselves. Like maybe something your ancestors did was in irreverence to kami-sama, so that like generated kagare. So you like, it's important, the first step to clearing the meguri like through Tenchikan Kami-sama's guidance is to also like apologize for like the things that happened, like acknowledge them and like apologize in the sense of like not to doing it, not to do it again, if that makes sense. Oh, sorry, I've seen all the comments now. Hold on. Vidim-san says, I don't remember kanji for meguri either. I think it's often just hiragana meguri because it's Konko Kyo specific term back from Kyoso-sama times. Yes, it's either the hiragana or this one. Sorry, this one here. And it means like, you know, going around. I'm not sure though. I have to check. But I think one of the main meguri source in disrespect towards Konjin, from some Kyoso-sama's explanations, even just not worshipping Konjin-sama is disrespectful, so you get meguri. Meguri is claimed when you start worshipping Konjin-sama and living in accordance with him and his wish, apologizing for your disrespect and purifying your heart. Oh, yes. So the thing about the teachings, if I remember correctly, is that Konjin-sama is like, you know, all of nature, you know, like the whole nature, usually referred to like connected to the earth. So a lot of the meguri in Konko Daijin-sama specifically, I remember, was like his ancestors like built a house on top of buried animal bones, and this was like an irreverence to Konjin-sama. And it might seem like weird for us, like for people, maybe not for you, but like for you or me, you know, like because like Konjin-sama has a lot of like the way things work is very specific, but like, you know, for like general people, you know, like what's the problem with building a house on animal bones, right? But if you think about it, that's kind of like building a house on top of a cemetery, right? Like where animals died, where things died, and building on top of that without the proper respect is not showing respect to the land and the creatures that lived on the land and they died there, and that's their resting spot. So it caused this like negative energy, this kegare that accumulated because the ancestors never acknowledged that. They never recognized the problem. And yes, you can say that they had no awareness of it, or they couldn't comprehend that there was a problem. But even so, that doesn't mean that it's okay. You know, it doesn't mean that it's okay. So we have to live with humility. And, that's why when we pray, it's like appreciations, apologies, and then request, because we apologize for the irreverences we cause knowingly, but also unknowingly, right? So there's probably a lot of things that I'm doing as a dumb human that is hurting like beings in nature, and I don't recognize it. And Konjin Sama is like all of nature, like the earth. And I'm probably offending Konjin Sama by doing something dumb. I'm not sure, but I want to be respectful and I want to be humble. So, in the daily prayers, I say like, I'm sorry for like any irreverences I may have caused. Like genuinely, I'm sorry, and I don't know what I might have done, but if there's something I did do, then please accept my apology. And like, I want to do better, and please guide me to not repeat those offenses. So like that's kind of what the teaching is saying, is like when you live in accordance with Konjin Sama, with the earth, um, and having a humble heart and apologizing for any disrespect, knowingly or unknowingly, that is purifying the kegare out of our hearts and living in harmony with nature and the earth around us. And not like acting like I didn't do anything wrong, like I did everything I could and I'm sure it was right. Like that's like hubris, like that's very arrogant. So it's important to recognize like there's things we may not understand that are disrespectful and are harmful and generate kegare and like bad feelings and bad energy. And then of course like that accumulates to megiri, right? But again, like as long as we're humble and we try to follow Konjin Sama, Tejika no Kami Sama, then we can clear our personal like misgivings and irreverences, but also like purify as well, like the meguri that has been accumulating over us from like our family members and like ancestors and things like that. So like I feel like that is like kind of like what is the important teaching, especially in regard to like how Kyoso Sama's ancestors, like they again like the house on top of the animal bones. And like people don't may not understand why. Like I've gotten a lot of questions about that, like but they didn't know, and like what's wrong with that, and like animals are probably everywhere. But it's not about that. It's not about like making the excuses or like saying you didn't know or like things like that. It's just accepting that yes, maybe this wasn't the best thing to do and I'm sorry, and how can I make it better? And I want to apologize to the animals that we built our house on. It's all about like making things balanced and acknowledging that there are things as us humans we cannot see like and understand on the big picture. So but that's why like with Tenchika no Kami-sama, with Konjin-sama, they are the big picture, like they are everything. So like that's why we ask them for guidance and like to pray to them, to rely on them, to help show us the right way forward, to clear out the meguri, the kegare, and like all the bad things. So yeah, like it's just like again, like all you have to do is really like ask, and it starts with it starts with apology, apologizing for irreverences from myself, from my ancestors, whether it was done knowingly or unknowingly. Like I'm sorry and I want to make it better. I want to clear that. And then it's asking, Kami-sama, Tenchika no Kami-sama, like please help me clear the meguri. Please show me how to clear it. Please like just like help me through this. I want to make things right. I want to make things better. Like, and not just like not from a selfish perspective either, like not like I want to clear meguri because like I want good things to happen to me. Like it's important to recognize that like to clear this means also kind of like restoring kind of like the balance between things. So like how do I explain this, like so like if it has gone on for like hundreds of years that your ancestors and the clan people didn't know and they didn't apologize for all this time, then it's like you're also like you as the person now as a descendant, can can be the representative for those ancestors that weren't able to recognize, and then make things right and restore the balance to things. It's kind of like how people say like you're breaking the cycle, like breaking the cycle of like abuse and breaking. That's literally what Meguri is. It's the cycle. It's going around, so it's breaking that cycle perpetuated by the ancestors who may have not done the best actions, but you are going to be the one to break that and restore balance, um, with nature as a whole, with Konji-sama, with Tenchiko no Kami-sama. So that's kind of like what clearing Meguri is. It's not just like I want to do it to get good blessings, but it's doing it to kind of break the cycle of um, accumulated bad energy, accumulated bad actions, like Kegare, and how it became Meguri, and then you be the person to like clear it and like make restore the balance, and and then it adds the beneficial aspect of making things lighter for you as well in your daily life, and like for your descendants, if you have any descendants. And I don't mean like, again, like I don't mean like your blood, like blood children, but like it could be anybody, right? Like anybody, like a cousin who like you're kind of related to, or like even people like you're connected to, like not biologically, but like you have a close connection to them. So it's like, it's like a web, or I guess, or like a domino effect, that you also spread this clearing and like purification to not only yourself, but everybody around you as well. So that's also really good for it. Vadim-san says, I think it may be mainly not about animals, but that it's important to ask Konjin to use any piece of earth for building, because everything belongs to him if you don't ask for permission. Yes, so that's part of it too, like because Konji-sama is the earth itself, so like that's like Konji-sama's body. So, of course we have to ask permission before we use the land for anything. So but I don't really know, because in that situation with Kyoso-sama's relatives, um, it wasn't said that it was offensive for building on the land without permission. Like they specifically mentioned the bone, like the animal bones in the earth. So like something about that, I'm not sure, but like Kami-sama said, like because they built on top of the bones, like that was a big problem. So I'm not really sure, but like it can really depend on like very specific circumstances. Like I don't know, but it's true. Like in general, like we have to ask permission. It's important to ask permission before building on the land, because that's Konjin-sama's body. So like like that it's like crazy disrespectful to just like pretend like the earth is like mine, or like ours, like humanity, like that's really disrespectful and like really bad. And I honestly feel like a lot of the problems going on in the world right now is because like nobody has like thought of like this, like people just build on the earth like without caring about anything. And I literally feel like that leads to so many problems going on right now in the earth and a lot of countries, um because like just like people don't care like how they treat the earth, or they don't care how they treat the planet. And like, oh, let's just build like a mega mall here, who cares, like it's like, no. Or like, they just cut down trees and they don't care what happens to the trees or the animals. And like, I think even on like even outside of Konko Faith, like even just a general human perspective, I think that like I don't know how people don't realize, not like us, because I feel like, us here in the chat, like the reason we're like, we're here is because we do respect the earth and we want to treat the earth right. But you know what I mean? Like in general, around the world, like people don't really have any respect for the earth, or like they don't care how they manipulate it, or like they try to just do whatever they want on it. And I feel like that's causing a lot of like meguri and like bad things to happen, and like irreverences to Konjin sama. And it's like, and that's just like leading to so many bad things in the world right now. Honestly, that's how I feel sometimes. I don't actually know, but that's like my thought. Like I feel like things are really bad because we're not like showing respect. And it's again like it's not like necessarily um like it's not necessarily like innocent, like if innocent people are affected, it's not like there's no sense of justice. It's really just like, a cause and effect situation, and then like everybody's going to get affected by it. Like even if someone is an innocent person and they never like built without permission on the land, or they always respected the earth and they always asked permission for everything, but then like bad things are still happening around. Again, it's not like they're doing something wrong still, or like they're not being like protected, or things like that. That's not true. It's just like there's like, again, like it's all about the broad picture. Like there's things in our own like little personal circle, but then there's like there I feel like there's also like a global megody of like the accumulated megady and kegare of like everything around us happening, and like different countries and different people and different families, and we are unfortunately and fortunately all connected. So even the bad things, the cause and effect of those things affect us, even though we didn't actually do anything. So it's like it's the tragic part of all this. That's what makes it really sad because it's like, how are we supposed to deal with this? It's kind of like it's like living in like it's like living in like, you want to live in an apartment building, but then your neighbors are like really dirty, and so like it causes like a lot of problems for you now because like you're taking care of your apartment, but all the other rooms are like not being taken care of. So it affects you as well. So that's what I mean by like, we keep our apartment clean, we do our best, but sometimes like things still can happen because like the whole apartment building is like there needs to be a lot of rooms that need to be cleaned, and there's a lot of apologies that need to happen, and like a lot of awakening, I guess, or like awareness that we should be treating the earth better, we should be treating Konji and Sama better, because a lot of the world just thinks like the earth is like dead, it's like nothing. But yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Ineza-san. Yes, I hope you have a nice day and take care. Yes. But yeah, so I just hope we change in the future. And again, like, it starts with us. Like we, at least for example, like the only person I can control is myself. So, I do my best to clear the meguri of my family and like clear my personal, like any irreverences and offenses that I may do. And, just try to do what I can, and, try to help others, show them, too, that they can also, have a connection with Tenchika no Kami-sama, with Konjin-sama, with these forces of the universe, the force that is the universe itself too, and, work through the meguri and kegare around them to clear it. And then, things kind of, again, like cause and effect. Things are connected, right? The more apartment buildings that are clean, the more apartment rooms that are clean, the more the overall building will be clean. So it's kind of like, it's like that kind of situation. It's not easy to explain, honestly, because like all of this stuff is really, really, really complicated. um, a lot of like, just really quick before I finish up, but like a lot of stuff now, like on the internet, on media, it's like you just have to like say like a simplified like phrase or like teaching, and then that's all the wisdom, and if you follow that, your life's going to be perfect. But life is not like that. Life is complicated. Everyone has different circumstances, everyone has different nuances. um Everyone has something different and complicated going on. So there's never going to be like just one specific answer or phrase or like piece of wisdom that will like fix everything. Like life doesn't work like that. So like we have to go through each piece of our lives and like the circumstances and like world around us, and like go through each particular part and like understand them and then work through them, and each give the respect to each of those things, complexities and nuances, and recognizing that there's no simple answer to things, but there's many answers to things and many ways to look at a situation, and there's many different wisdoms to gain from a situation and many different guidances we can receive, especially from Tenchika no Kami-sama. So like that's why it's like I'm always kind of like meandering. Like I don't have like a specific phrase or a specific answer or specific wisdom, because I feel like doing that is foolish in and of itself, because I know that every circumstance, every situation is going to be different, and they need that time and attention and care and guidance from Kami-sama to be resolved and to be understood and to be, to really to gain wisdom from a situation. We have to like give it the time and attention and ask Kami-sama to go to work through these things on our own perspectives, on our own journeys. There's never going to be just like one answer, one savior. Then there's nothing like that, because I know, because it already has tried to happen many times in history, but we're still here. So like we're still gotta like we gotta work through it. So like, but we can do it with Kami-sama, right? Like we're not like alone. We don't we don't have to be aimless. Like Tenchika no Kami-sama wants to help us and like wants to um like free us from our sufferings and our problems, and they want us to understand the connection with them, and like how they want to help us and how they want to guide us through our circumstances and through our situations. So yeah, that's what I wanted to explain today, because I don't know, I think it's really important. Like it's important to recognize that and practice faith, like that, literally like practicing like daily life, through the little things, through if I should get the tray or not. It all starts there, and then it goes on through Kami-sama's guidance. So yeah, that's what I wanted to explain today. So yep. So now it's 1:30 a.m. So I should get to sleep. A busy day tomorrow. But thank you so much, everyone, for today. Thank you, Vadim-san, for the good comments too. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, everyone. I see a new person. French toast. That's a cute name. But thank you so much for coming too, and Alex and Ineza-san, and anyone else who watched today. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'll see you tomorrow for like the meetings and the grand ceremony. I'm like that's the big event. Yeah, so I'll see you tomorrow for those things if you're able to. So yeah. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, have a good evening or good day wherever you are. Okay, bye for now. Oh, thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Bye bye. Yasumi.